Boy! In that pandemic, and you went on to win your first Grammy. Congratulations, brother. I want to ask you about the artists, though. You know, one thing I've truly loved is how, like, Nigerian artists have taken Africa to the world. Man, you've blown up the continent. Everyone is now trying to emulate what Nigerian artists are creating. But surely
Except
there are...
our government.
Except... You go to Kenya, everything. How are things?
That's the thing. We don't lie unless we want to scam you.
We don't cast, last. Now everybody go to breakfast. Shayo.
The Nigerian music industry is loud. Everyone wants to shine. Everyone wants to win, but very few want to be feared. And even fewer actually earn it. Because fear, real fear, is not something you can fake. It comes from a different place, a place of power, a place of unpredictability, a place of consequences. If you ask insiders today, one name keeps coming up, Burna Boy. Not because he sings louder, not because he wins the most awards, but because with Burna, you don't know what's coming next. And that is where the fear begins.
Just to make sure money day. But my people can go.
Ladies and gentlemen, Burna Boy's story isn't the typical clean come-up you hear in interviews. Born in Port Harcourt, one of Nigeria's toughest cities, he grew up in a world where survival came first. Music was passion, but survival was the foundation. After spending time abroad in the UK, Burna got into legal trouble. In 2010, he was reportedly arrested for being part of a stabbing incident. Deported back to Nigeria, his early career wasn't just about chasing dreams, it was about rebuilding a life he almost lost. Most artists would have folded under the pressure, but Burna doubled down.
You're mad. You see my dark shades on like I can see, but you know say me fancy you. You see my dark shades on like I can see, but you know say me fancy you. My hello, don't be surprised when I say hello.
In 2012, he dropped Like to Party, which became a banger that no one could resist. I mean, it was played everywhere from the country to the whole Africa, whether schools, clubs, transports, or restaurants. It was a vibe. Obviously, the industry began to notice, not just the music, but the energy, because there was something raw about him, something that didn't smile when the cameras flashed. By 2013, Burna was moving differently. While others played industry politics, begging for radio plays, dancing around cliques, Burna built his own lane. And when I say this, just take note that it came at a cost. You see, in 2013, after a serious falling out with Aristocrat Records, his first major label, Burnaboy was blacklisted from many major events and shows in Nigeria. According to the fans, show organizers were scared to book him. Radio stations pulled back, magazines stopped calling. Most artists would have begged, apologized, played the game. But Burna, he walked away. He built his own movement, Spaceship Records, and bet on himself. The industry shut its doors. He kicked them open. By 2018, after dropping albums like Outside, Burna wasn't just famous, he was inevitable. Whoever gave him that name surely knew what was coming, cause I can't lie, it fits him perfect. Believe me when I say a small coincidence could bring in a fortune. You see, fast forward to 2018, after one of the biggest fan bases of one of the greatest hip-hop artists of all time had waited for so long, Kanye West finally decided to release his album Ye.
Someday, I wanna lay down like God did. Sunday.
Which coincidentally shared the same name as a song by none other than Afrobeats' very own, Burna Boy, released earlier in the year on his mixtape, Outside. This led to a 200% increase in streams for Burna Boy's Yay, as fans searching for Kanye's album stumbled upon the Nigerian artist's song instead. And funny enough, the world stayed because the music was undeniable, and once Burna tasted that level of power, he never looked back. What makes Burna feared is not just his rise, it's how he carries himself after the rise. Where most artists bow to Western labels, Burna demands respect. Where others keep silent about politics, Burna sings Monsters You Made and Another Story, calling out colonialism and corruption. Again, great tracks. Where others beg for award recognition, Burna wins a Grammy, not because of hype, but because of consistent world-class albums like African Giant and Twice as Tall, which contained this sort of madness mixed with happiness vibe. I loved it so much, it definitely deserved the Grammy. Still, the fear doesn't just come from success. It comes from his reputation for retaliation. This is where it becomes scary. In 2022, Burna was involved in a nightclub shooting incident at Cubana Club in Lagos. It allegedly started because a woman refused his advances, and after back and forth, his security fired shots. Though Burna himself denied involvement and no criminal charges stuck, the streets got the message. This wasn't just about music anymore. It was about aura, it was about consequences. Add to that, Burna Boy has had a long-standing history of public beefs. Just as you see in hip-hop, most artists such as Drake have beef that are just everlasting. But then there's just that person in the music space that'll always have your back, just like you've seen between Drake and J. Cole while hating on Kendrick Lamar. In the world of Afrobeats, it's no different, because I think Burna Boy's undoubtedly the Kendrick Lamar here. We can take Wizkid as J. Cole and the Golden Son Davido as Drake. Let me explain. You see, in one of the most beautiful cities in Africa, Accra, Ghana, Burna Boy and davido would meet at a nightclub. The two artists allegedly got into a physical fight at the club, with eyewitnesses describing the altercation as intense. Davido, on the other hand, was forced to angrily leave the club. This incident could be said to be the culmination of the long-standing feud between the two artists, with each side exchanging subtle jabs and diss tracks in the months leading up to the altercation. Warning his enemies without naming names. Just as I mentioned earlier, in this case, Wizkid fans teamed up with Burna's, and funny enough, Burna loved the idea. This eventually gave birth to the name, the Big Three of Afrobeats. Just then, people realized you don't cross Burna Boy casually. Not on social media, not in business, not even in real life. Today, you don't see artists easily call him out. You don't see brands trying to force him into commercial games. He's respected because he's built from fire, and feared because no one really knows where his fire might burn next. In contrast, legends like Olamide, one of the best hitmaker and songwriter in Afrobeats, is respected for loyalty and building others. Wizkid is respected for silence and mystery. Davido is loved for generosity and openness. But Burna is respected and feared because he is the industry's last true lone wolf, a man who made it without selling a piece of himself. He is not just a giant, he is a warning. And in Nigeria's music jungle, where smiles can hide knives, sometimes being the storm they pray never comes is the only way to survive. Let me know what your thoughts are about this in the comments section, and most importantly, where are you watching from and who should I talk about next? Peace